Opera Essence, 100% freshly squeezed opera juice, is an opera a colori podcast giving you everything you need to know to help you enjoy the world's finest operas. In this episode, we explore the plot of Carmen by George Bizet. Act 1. People from all walks of life are going about their daily business in the largest square of Seville. A group of dragoon guards, headed by Brigadier Morales, are keeping watch from a corner when a young girl, Micaela, emerges from the buzzing crowds and walks towards the soldiers. The young lady has travelled from Navarra in search of Don José, a brigadier in service in the city, and her childhood friend. The soldiers surround Micaela and invite her to wait in their company for Don José to return, but she refuses, preferring to wait alone and away from them. In the distance, the sound of flutes and trumpets of the military band announce the changing of the guard. Accompanied by a group of street children who imitate the military march, the new soldiers enter the square. Among them, Don José, who is immediately informed of Micaela's presence. All of a sudden, everyone's attention is drawn to the far side of the piazza, where a large tobacco factory stands. The young, attractive workers are coming out to take a break, attracting the attention of everyone around with their provocative and flirtatious behaviour. Amongst the women, a young gypsy, Carmen, appears, receiving the most attention of all. She ignores all the advances and compliments she is given by the men who observe her, claiming that no love is destined to last. From afar, she notices Don José lingering on the edge of the square in a small group. They lock eyes for an instant, and she throws a flower at his feet before laughing and running off through the crowds. Don José is entranced by Carmen's gesture, but his thoughts are swiftly interrupted by Micaela. Meeting with her immediately triggers memories and nostalgia in him as he remembers his mother and his distant homeland. She hands José a letter in which his elderly mother advises him to marry Micaela. In that instant, an eruption of screaming and shouting from the factory calls all of the soldiers onto the square. Almost possessed, a group of women burst out from the building, accusing Carmen of stabbing one of their friends in a fight. Carmen is immediately taken by Don José and some other soldiers to be interrogated by the Captain Zuniga, who proceeds to question her, receiving, however, ironic and defiant responses. The captain decides to arrest Carmen and put her under Don José's watch. The two of them are left alone, and the gypsy girl puts her art of seduction into practice. She suggests that José let her go in exchange for her love. If he accepts her proposal, they are to meet each other at Lilas Pastia's tavern, along with the other gypsies. Don José attempts to resist her scheme, but his attraction to the gypsy girl is too strong to be denied, and he gives in, loosening the rope with which her hands are tied. Zuniga returns with Carmen's arrest warrant. However, by then, she has managed to wriggle away and escape from the square, and José is arrested for his lack of supervision. Act 2. Carmen and the other gypsies are in the tavern owned by her friend Lilas Pastia. With them are some officers, including Zuniga. Carmen and her two best friends, Frasquita and Mercedes, dance a segadilla. After the dance is over, the captain slides up to Carmen to charm her, but she pushes him away, telling him she is waiting for Don José, who has escaped from prison and is, as Zuniga confirms, a free man. Escamillo, a valiant bullfighter, makes his first appearance as he enters the tavern, regaling all around him of his various tales. He too is interested in Carmen and pursues her, but she is unshakable in awaiting her brigadier. Frasquita and Mercedes, along with another 2 gypsies, propose that Carmen join them in some smuggling in Gibraltar. Once again, for her love for José, she refuses, so the 4 of them suggest involving him too in this crime. Just then, José's voice is heard from outside the tavern. The 2 lovers embrace, and Carmen performs a sensual dance for him. His sense of guilt forces him to leave the tavern. Carmen criticizes him for putting his military duty before love, and she asks him to disregard the army in exchange for a new life of smuggling. José, although confessing to be in love with Carmen from the moment she threw her flower at his feet, refuses her proposal and maintains his loyalty to his military duties. At that moment, Zuniga, jealous of the 2 lovers, starts a fight with José. The captain is forced out of action and immobilized by the others. Now José has no choice and convinces himself to abandon his military life, joining the gypsies in a lawless existence of aimless wandering and no responsibility. Act 3. The smugglers have gathered on the mountains in the middle of the night with the contraband that they will soon attempt to get into the city. They are joined by Carmen and Don José. The relationship between the 2 lovers has already started to waver. She berates him for being unfit for the gypsy life and is also annoyed by his jealousy, which she finds oppressive and intolerable. Frasquita and Mercedes join Carmen with a deck of tarot cards from which they read their future together. What emerges unsettles Carmen. She reads the cards a number of times, but they only ever show one thing: death. In the meantime, Don José, who is guarding the camp, stops a stranger. It's Escamillo. He claims to be there driven by his love for a gypsy girl. José immediately infers that the woman desired by Escamillo is none other than Carmen, at which point, blinded by jealousy, he challenges his rival to a duel. Amongst the gypsies appears Micaela, José's betrothed, who begs him to return with her to their hometown, where his mother is dying. Carmen also encourages José to leave the camp and create a new life. In the end, Don José, despite being eaten up by jealousy and rage at being refused by the woman he loves, decides to follow Micaela, while Escamillo boasts about having snatched Carmen from his rival. Act 4. It is the day of the bullfight, and all of Seville is buzzing. The square is filling up with people celebrating the event, while the market vendors busily sell cigarettes, oranges, fans and other merchandise. As the matadors enter the square, the crowd reels with enthusiasm. Amongst them is Escamillo, who is preparing for his fight in the arena. He is accompanied by Carmen, with whom he exchanges a few loving words before he enters the stadium. Lingering nearby is Don José, and as the large crowd exits the square chanting, he and Carmen are left alone. He is still obsessed with her and does not accept being defeated. Alas, his imploring and declarations of love are of no use. She is steadfast and has decided to leave the ex-brigadier for good, remaining faithful to Escamillo. Inside the arena, the crowd's excitement and cheering increases. Exasperated by José's advances, Carmen refuses him once again, this time displaying her disdain by throwing the ring he had given her at his feet. This gesture sends Don José into a furious rage, and he pulls out a dagger. Throwing himself towards the woman he loved so much, he stabs her multiple times, eventually killing her. The bullfight is over, and the joyous crowd starts to pour out of the arena, while Carmen's body lies motionless in the middle of the square. Don José, before being arrested for her murder, bursts into a final declaration of love for Carmen, now lost forever. Now you're familiar with the storyline, why don't you listen to our 5 Fun Facts podcast to find out more interesting features surrounding this opera? And now, the house lights are dimmed. It's time to enjoy the show. Opera Essence, 100% freshly squeezed opera juice, is an opera a colori production. This episode was written by Tommaso Quanilli, produced by Selena Bellomi and Ivo Rizzi, and presented by Felicity Murphy. Follow us on our social media pages at Opera a Colori.